The big ship, the KSV Endeavour, moved quietly through the black space. It was heading for a planet called Zephyr 7. From space, the planet looked calm. It was covered in soft colors of purple and blue. There was no bright white light from a sun. Instead, a gentle, forever twilight hung over the world. Inside the ship, the crew got ready. Captain Chol looked at the planet on the main screen. He was a man who had seen many things. His face often looked a little tired. This was a simple mission, but he was always careful. "Okay, team," Chol said, his voice calm. "We are here to say hello. To learn about them. To be good guests." Nothing more, the others nodded. There was Jin, a man who studied alien life. He was quiet and liked to watch things closely. He felt most comfortable with his plants and science samples. Next to him was Sue, who fixed the ship's machines. Sue was practical. He trusted things he could see and touch. He was also a good friend to Jin. Then there was Hana. Her job was to talk and to understand. She was good with languages and feelings. She felt the excitement of a first meeting. The ship flew down through the clouds. They saw the surface of Zephyr 7. There were no green forests or blue oceans. Instead, there were great crystal cities. The buildings looked like giant clear trees made of diamond and glass. They caught the dim light and made it into a soft glow. It was beautiful, but also strange and quiet. The Endeavour landed on a wide, smooth platform. The air outside was cool and still. When the door opened, the human crew saw the people of this world for the first time. The Zephyrians were tall and thin. Their skin was not like human skin. It was smooth and had a shine like polished stone. They moved slowly and gracefully. They did not have big eyes or mouths. Their faces were calm, like still water. One of them stepped forward. He was older than the others. He carried a staff made of a single piece of clear crystal. "I am Kale," he said. His voice was not loud, but it was clear. It sounded like two smooth stones rubbing together. "We welcome you to our home." Captain Chul bowed his head a little. "Thank you for your welcome. I am Captain Chul. We come in peace." Kale led them into the crystal city. The streets were not noisy. There was no sound of cars or machines. The only sound was a soft, sad wind that moved through the crystal towers. It made a low humming noise. The humans saw that the Zephyrians were very polite. But they also looked very sad. Their heads were often bowed. Their movements were heavy, as if they were carrying a great weight. That evening, the Zephyrians held a gathering for the humans. They sat in a big room with a clear ceiling. They could see the dark purple sky above. The Zephyrians gave them food and drink. The food was strange, but it was good. After they ate, Elder Kale spoke to the humans. "You see our city," he said. "You see our people, but you must feel our sorrow." Captain Chol nodded. "We can feel that something is wrong. Can you tell us?" Kale's shiny eyes seemed to look far away. "It is about the end of life. The great change. What we call the sundering," he explained. For his people, death was not an end. It was a returning, a going back to the universe. When a Zephyrian was very old and ready to die, their community would sing for them. They would sing a special song, the death hymn. This song was a guide. It helped the person's life energy, their soul, leave their body and join the great energy of the cosmos. It was a beautiful and sacred moment. But now, Kale said, and his voice became even quieter, "We have a great problem, a sickness in our world. No one can sing the hymn anymore." The humans listened, confused. "What do you mean, no one can sing it?" Hana asked. "Is the song forgotten?" "No, the song is not forgotten," Kale said. "We remember every note, but we can no longer make the sound. It is as if our voices are broken. The song has many parts. It has notes that are very high and very low. It has harmonies that need many voices, all singing different sounds at once. It is a very, very complex song. Now when we try to sing it, the notes will not come out. Our voices crack. The sound is wrong. It is empty." He looked at the humans with a deep hope. "For generations, our greatest elders, our wisest teachers have died in silence. There is no song to guide them. Their souls are lost. They cannot join the universe. It is the greatest sadness we can know." Sue, the engineer, frowned. He thought about machines. "Is it a problem with the air, or a sickness in your bodies?" "We do not think so," Kyle said. "We are healthy. We believe it is a spiritual problem. Our connection to the song is broken." He turned his gaze to Hana. "We asked you to come because your people are new. Your voices are different from ours. You can make many kinds of sounds. You can sing many kinds of songs. You are our last hope. Can you help us? Can your people learn to sing our death hymn? Captain Chul felt the heavy weight of this request. This was not a simple trade mission anymore. This was about the most important part of their lives. We will try, Chul said. Hana is our best person for this. We will do everything we can. Hana felt a mix of excitement and fear. This was a big mystery. A beautiful, sad mystery. The next day, Hana got to work. The Zephyrians gave her a small, clear crystal. When she touched it, she could hear the death hymn in her mind. It was the most amazing and complicated piece of music she had ever heard. It was like a storm and a whisper at the same time. It had sounds that seemed to twist and turn in ways that should not be possible. She went back to the ship and worked for many days. She used the best computers to study the song. She tried to break it down into parts. She tried to sing the notes herself, but it was impossible. The lowest notes were so deep they felt like they could shake the ship apart. Her voice could not go that low. The highest notes were so sharp they hurt her ears. She could not reach them. And the harmonies, they were the worst part. They required 3 or 4 different notes to be sung at the exact same time by one person. No human throat could do that. After 2 weeks, she went to Captain Chul. Her face was sad and tired. Captain, I have to be honest, she said. I cannot do it. No human can. The Zephyrians were right. The song is not singable, not by them and not by us. The physics of it, the biology, it just doesn't work, Captain Chul sighed. He had been afraid of this. He called Jin and Sue to tell them. Jin listened quietly. He had been spending his time studying the planet's plants and fungi. He felt bad for the Zephyrians. He understood their connection to life and death. Sue was more direct. It's sad, but it's not our fault. We tried. We can't fix a spiritual problem. The next day, Captain Chul went to see Elder Kale in his crystal tower. The old alien looked even more fragile than before. Elder Kale, Chul said, his voice gentle. We have tried. Hana, our best, has tried. But the song, it is beyond us. Our voices cannot make the sounds. We are sorry. We have failed you. Kale did not get angry. The hope in his eyes just faded away like a light going out. The deep sadness returned deeper than before. We understand, Kale said softly. Thank you for trying. The silence will continue. The mood in the Crystal City became even heavier. The humans packed their things to leave. They felt like they had let these beautiful people down. They had come with hope and they were leaving with more sadness. On their last evening, Jin was in the ship's botany lab. He was packing up the samples he had collected. One sample was a soft blue fungus from the crystal forests. He needed to keep it alive for the trip home. He checked the small machine that gave the fungus special food and air. The machine, a nutrient dispenser, was acting strange. It was making a low buzzing sound. It was an annoying sound. The kind of sound that gets stuck in your head. Jin tapped the machine. The buzz continued. He was tired and a little frustrated. He just wanted to finish his work and leave this sad planet behind. Without really thinking, his mind distracted, he started to hum. He was not humming a song. He was just trying to match the annoying buzz of the machine. He made a low, steady sound in his throat. Then he let his voice waver a little, going up and down, trying to find the exact same vibration. It was a meaningless sound. A bored sound. A human reacting to a broken machine. In the medical room next door, Sue was putting his tools away. He suddenly stopped. He felt a very strange feeling. It was a wave of calm, a deep, quiet peace. For a moment, all his worries about the mission, all his frustration just melted away. He looked around, confused. The ship's lights seemed to glow a little warmer. Everything felt right. He shook his head. I must be more tired than I thought, he muttered to himself, and went back to his work. He did not know that the simple, frustrated hum from the botany lab, mixed with the buzz of the machine, had created a sound that had, for just a few seconds, touched the edges of a song that no one could sing. The feeling of failure was a heavy fog inside the KSV Endeavor. The ship, which usually felt like a busy mechanical home, was now quiet and still. The crew moved through the corridors slowly. They did not talk much. They had come to Zephyr 7 to help, and they were leaving without any help given. Captain Chul sat in his chair on the bridge. He looked at the planet on the main screen. The soft purple and blue colors of the world now looked sad to him. He had to send a message back to Earth. He had to tell them the mission was a failure. He did not look forward to it. Hannah was in her room. She felt the worst. The song was still in her head. The beautiful, impossible song. She had listened to it for days and nights. She had tried every way she knew to sing it. She had even tried to teach parts of it to Jin and Sue to see if 3 people could sing it together, but it did not work. The song needed to be one perfect sound from one source. It was a puzzle that could not be solved. She felt she had let down the entire Zephyrian people. Sue was in the engine room. He was checking the systems for the trip home. He was a practical man. If a problem could not be fixed with tools and logic, he did not waste time on it. He felt bad for the aliens, but he knew when something was broken beyond repair. To him, this was one of those things. He focused on his work. The steady hum of the ship's engines was a sound he understood. It was reliable. Jin was in the botany lab. He was the only one not directly thinking about the song. His work was his escape. He was packing the samples he had collected from the planet's surface. There were small plants that grew in the shade of the crystal trees. There were patches of soft, glowing fungi. He needed to make sure they survived the journey back to Earth. One of the samples was a blue fungus. It needed a special environment. A small machine, a nutrient dispenser, gave it food and moisture. This machine was now making a strange noise. It was a low, rhythmic buzz. It was not a loud noise, but it was annoying. It was the kind of sound that gets inside your head. Jin tapped the side of the machine. The buzzing continued. He sighed. He was tired. The sadness of the mission was all around him, and now a broken machine was adding to his troubles. He just wanted to finish his work. He opened a panel on the machine to look inside. He saw a small vibration motor. It was supposed to shake gently to mix the nutrients, but now it was shaking too hard. It was loose. He reached for a tool to tighten it. As he worked, his mind was far away. He was thinking about the quiet Zephyrians and their silent goodbyes. The annoying buzz of the machine was the only sound in the room. Without really thinking, he started to hum. It was not a song. It was just a sound. He was trying to match the pitch of the buzzing, to understand its pattern. He made a low, steady note in his throat. Then he let his voice waver, going up and down, trying to copy the machine's faulty vibration. It was a meaningless act, a human mind distracted by a simple problem. The hum mixed with the machine's buzz, creating a new, slightly different sound in the room. In the medical room next door, Sue was putting his tools back into their case. He was almost done. Suddenly, he stopped. He felt a very strange sensation. It was a wave of calmness. A deep, quiet peace washed over him. For a single moment, all his thoughts about the failed mission, all his plans for the trip home simply vanished. He felt light. The white lights in the medical room seemed to glow a little warmer. The air felt softer. Everything felt right. It lasted for only a few seconds. Then the feeling was gone. Sue blinked and shook his head. He looked around the empty room. "I must be more tired than I thought," he muttered to himself. He rubbed his eyes and went back to packing his tools. He decided he needed some sleep. He did not connect the strange feeling to the quiet hum coming from Jin's lab. It was just a hum, after all. Down on the planet in the great crystal city, Elder Kale was standing on a high balcony. He was looking at the stars. His heart was heavy. The humans were leaving. Their last hope was gone. The silence would continue. His people would continue to die without a guide. The thought was a deep pain inside him. Suddenly he jolted. His whole body trembled. His long, slender fingers tightened on his crystal staff. He felt a vibration, not a sound in his ears, but a resonance in his very being. It was faint, like a whisper from a great distance. But it was unmistakable. It was the hymn, not the whole glorious song. Just a fragment. A single core frequency that had been lost to them for generations. It was the foundational note, the one upon which the entire song was built. It was a note of pure peace, of acceptance, of welcome. The feeling washed over him, warm and comforting. For a brief moment, the great sorrow in his heart was soothed. Then, as quickly as it came, it was gone. All across the city, other Zephyrians felt it too. They stopped what they were doing. They looked up at the sky. They looked at each other. Their calm faces showed a flicker of something new, confusion, and then a tiny, fragile spark of hope. Cale turned quickly and walked back inside. His movements, usually so slow and graceful, were now urgent. He went to the communication chamber. The room was made of a special crystal that could send thoughts and sounds across the void. He reached out with his mind, sending a frantic, hopeful message to the human ship in orbit. On the bridge of the Endeavor, a light began to flash on the communication console. A soft chime sounded. Captain Chul was pulled from his dark thoughts. He looked at the screen. It was a message from the planet's surface, from Elder Cale. His heart sank. Was he calling to say a final sad goodbye? He opened the channel. Cale's face appeared on the screen, but it was not the sad, resigned face from before. His crystalline eyes were shining with a fierce, bright light. His voice trembled with emotion. "Captain!" Cale's voice was sharp with excitement. "The hymn, we felt it." Chul was confused. "You felt it? What do you mean, Elder?" "The death hymn. Its resonance. It echoed across the void just moments ago. It came from your ship. The source is on your ship." Captain Chul stared at the screen. This made no sense. "Elder Cale, that is not possible. No one on my ship is singing. Hana confirmed it cannot be sung. We are preparing to leave." "No," Cale insisted, his voice firm. "I felt it. My people felt it. It was brief, but it was real. It was the core frequency of the sundering. It came from your vessel. You must find the source." The communication ended. Captain Chul sat in his chair, stunned. He turned to his empty bridge. What was happening? Was the old alien so desperate that he was imagining things? He pressed the button for the ship's intercom. "Hana Su-jin, please come to the bridge immediately." A few minutes later, the three of them arrived. They saw the strange look on the captain's face. "What is it, Captain?" Hana asked. Chul told them about Kyle's call. He explained that the elder swore he felt the death hymn coming from the Endeavor. Hana's face showed doubt. "Captain, with all respect, it's impossible. The song cannot be produced. The physics are clear. He must be mistaken. Maybe it was wishful thinking." Sue nodded in agreement. But then he remembered something. He remembered the strange wave of peace he felt in the medical room. It had happened just a short time ago. He had thought he was just tired. But now, "Captain," Sue said slowly, "something strange did happen. About 10 minutes ago, I was in the med bay. I felt a very calm feeling. For a few seconds, I thought I was just tired, but it was very strong." Chul looked at him. "Where were you, Sue?" "In the medical room," Sue said. "And what is next to the medical room?" Chul asked. They all thought for a moment. "The botany lab," Jin said quietly. All eyes turned to Jin. "Jin," Hana said. "What were you doing in the lab 10 minutes ago?" Jin looked surprised. He was not used to so much attention. "I was working. I was packing the samples. The nutrient dispenser for the blue fungus was broken. It was making an annoying buzzing sound. I was trying to fix it." "Were you making any noise?" Captain Chul asked. "Were you singing? Humming?" Jin's face became a little red. I might have been humming. Not a song. I was just matching the sound of the broken machine. It was just a habit, a thoughtless thing." A silence fell over the bridge. A broken machine. A thoughtless hum. Hana was the first to speak. Her voice was a whisper. "It can't be that simple." "We need to check," Captain Chul said. He stood up. Show us. All of us. Now. The group left the bridge and walked down the quiet corridor to the botany lab. The air was tense. Jin led them inside. The blue fungus sat under its glass dome. The nutrient dispenser was silent now. It's not buzzing now, Jin said. I tightened the motor. Can you make it buzz again? Sue asked, his engineer's mind now fully engaged. Jin thought for a moment. He opened the panel again. He carefully loosened the vibration motor just a little. He closed the panel and turned the machine on. A low rhythmic buzz filled the room. It was the same annoying sound. Now, Captain Chul said, looking at Jin. Do exactly what you did before. Jin felt very self-conscious. His friends and his captain were all staring at him. He was a scientist, not a performer. He took a breath. He began to hum. He matched the low, steady pitch of the machine. Then, remembering, he let his voice waver, copying the irregular vibration. The sound in the room changed. It was no longer just a hum and a buzz. The two sounds mixed together. They created a new, deeper, more complex tone. It was a sound that seemed to vibrate in the chest. In the corridor outside the lab, a young crew member was walking past. She suddenly stopped. She looked into the lab with a confused smile. That's a nice sound, she said. It feels warm. Hana's eyes were wide. She was feeling it too, a sense of calm, a feeling of rightness. It was not the full, overwhelming power of the death hymn from the crystal, but it was a piece of it, a fundamental piece. Sue looked at the machine, then at Jin. You're not singing the song, he said, realization dawning on his face. You're tuning it. The machine is making a bass sound. Your voice is changing it. You're turning noise into music. Jin stopped humming. The room fell silent, except for the annoying buzz of the machine. Captain Chul looked at the simple nutrient dispenser. He looked at Jin, the quiet biologist. A thoughtless hum. A broken machine. No one could sing the death hymn, Chul said, his voice full of wonder. So a human hummed it by mistake. The silence in the botany lab was heavy. It was broken only by the steady, annoying buzz of the nutrient dispenser. The four humans stood there, staring at the simple machine. They were trying to understand what had just happened. Captain Chul was the first to move. He reached out and turned the machine off. The buzzing stopped. The sudden quiet felt strange. Again, Chul said. His voice was low and serious. Do it again, Jin. Jin nodded. He felt nervous with everyone watching him. He was not a singer. He was a man who worked with plants and quiet science. But he turned the machine back on. The buzz returned. He took a slow breath and began to hum. He matched the low pitch. He let his voice waver just like the machine's vibration. The same thing happened. The two sounds mixed. The annoying buzz became a warm, resonant tone. The feeling of peace filled the small room again. Hana had her eyes closed. She was listening carefully. It's a harmonic, she whispered. The machine makes one frequency. Jin's voice makes another. When they combine, they create a third sound. A harmonic. That third sound is part of the hymn. Sue was already looking at the machine with his engineer's mind. He opened the panel and studied the loose vibration motor. This isn't a musical instrument, he said. It's just a cheap mixer motor. It's broken. It's making a random, messy sound. Maybe that's the point, Hana said, her eyes opening. The Zephyrians have been trying to create a perfect sound with their perfect voices. But the hymn isn't about perfection. It's about resonance. It's about two imperfect things coming together to make something new. Captain Chul looked from the machine to Jin. So Jin isn't singing the hymn. He is finishing the sound the machine starts. Exactly, Hana said. He is the final part of the instrument. They all stood for a moment, thinking about this. It was a huge idea. The solution was not a singer. It was a duet between a human and a machine. We need to tell Elder Kale, Chul said. But we need to be sure. We need to control this, Sue nodded. I can build something better. This mixer motor is weak and unreliable. I can build a chamber. A box with a speaker and a precise vibration generator. We can control the bass sound perfectly. Then Jin can hum into it. Can you do it quickly? Joel asked. Sue gave a confident nod. I can use parts from the spare comms unit. I can have a prototype in a few hours. Good, Joel said. Hana, you work with Sue. Analyze the sound we just recorded. Find the exact frequency the machine was making. Find the exact tone Jin needs to hum. We need to make this repeatable. We can't rely on a broken food dispenser. The team moved quickly. The fog of failure was gone. Now there was a new energy. A purpose? Sue and Hana went to the workshop. Jin stayed in the lab looking at the quiet machine. He felt a strange responsibility. He had found the answer by accident. What if he could not do it again when it really mattered? Captain Chul stayed with him for a moment. This is not what any of us expected, Jin, he said. But you have given them a chance. Jin just nodded, not knowing what to say. Down on the planet, Elder Kale waited. The brief feeling of the hymn had given him a desperate hope. He stood in the communication chamber, waiting for a message from the humans. Had they found the source? Was it real? When Captain Chul's message finally came, Kale listened carefully. The captain explained what they thought was happening. He talked about the machine and the hum. He said they were building a better device and would come down to the surface to test it. Kale was confused. A machine, a hum? It was not what he had imagined. He had imagined a human with a golden voice, singing their sacred song. Not a mechanic and a biologist with a box of wires, but he had felt the resonance. It was real. He had to trust that. We will be ready, Captain, Kale said. One of our elders is nearing her sundering. Her name is Lyra. She has waited a long time. She would be honored to be the first. The words hung in the air. This was no longer a test. This was real. A life was at stake. A few hours later, Sue was finished. He had built a small metal box. It had a speaker on one side and a microphone on the other. It was connected to a small control pad. Hana had programmed the pad with the precise frequency from the recording. It's ready, Sue said. He called it the resonance chamber. The team gathered in the shuttle bay. Jin held the small metal box. It felt heavy in his hands. He was not a spiritual leader. He was a scientist who hummed when he fixed things. Now he was supposed to help guide a soul to the universe. The shuttle flight down to the Crystal City was quiet. No one spoke. They looked out the windows at the glowing spires below. The city looked different now. It was no longer a place of sadness. It was a place of waiting. They landed on the same platform as before. Elder Kale was there to meet them. He was not alone. A group of Zephyrians stood behind him. Their crystalline bodies shimmered in the twilight. They all looked at the humans with a mixture of hope and fear. Kyle looked at the small metal box in Jin's hands. His eyes showed a flicker of doubt. This is the instrument? He asked. This is the tool that will help us make the sound, Captain Chul said gently. Kyle nodded slowly. Please follow me. Elder Lyra is ready. He led them deep into the Crystal City. They went to a building that was different from the others. It was a large open dome. The ceiling was made of one huge perfect crystal. The stars in the dark purple sky were visible above. The room was filled with a soft, natural light. In the center of the room, on a smooth, flat stone, lay an ancient Zephyrian. It was Lyra. Her form was fragile, like old glass. She was very still, but her eyes were open. They were calm and deep. She looked at the humans as they entered. A very slow, gentle smile touched her lips. Around the edges of the room, dozens of Zephyrians stood in silence. They were there to witness, to say goodbye. Kale went to Lyra's side and spoke to her in their own soft, stone-like language. She gave a small nod. He then walked back to the humans. She is at peace. She is ready for the sundering. She knows you will try to help her. Sue set up the resonance chamber on a small stand near Lyra. Hana checked the control pad one last time. She nodded to Jin. Jin's hands were cold. His mouth felt dry. He looked at the peaceful face of Elder Lyra. He looked at the hopeful faces of the Zephyrians. He felt the weight of a whole culture on his shoulders. Captain Chul put a hand on his shoulder. Just like in the lab, Jin. It is the same sound. You can do this, Jin took a deep breath. He looked at Sue. Sue gave him a thumbs up and pressed a button on the control pad. A low, pure tone came from the metal box. It was a clean, steady sound. It was the bass frequency. Now it was Jin's turn. He closed his eyes for a second. He tried to forget the crowd. He tried to forget the importance of the moment. He thought of his lab. He thought of the annoying buzz of the broken machine. He thought of the simple, thoughtless act of humming to match a sound. He opened his mouth and began to hum. He matched the pure tone from the box. Then, as Hana had instructed, he let his voice rise and fall in a very specific, gentle wave. The two sounds met. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the air in the dome began to change. The crystal above them started to glow with a soft inner light. The sound from the box was no longer just a sound. It became a physical feeling, a vibration of deep peace that filled the entire room. The Zephyrians all swayed slightly. A collective sigh went through them. It was a sound of recognition, of a memory found. Jin kept humming. He focused on the sound. He focused on keeping his voice steady. On the stone slab, Elder Lyra slowly closed her eyes. Her fragile body began to glow. The light started in her heart and spread outward to her fingers and toes. It was a warm, golden light. The sound from the resonance chamber grew richer. It was now unmistakably the death hymn, not the whole complex song but its heart, its core message of love and release. Lyra's form became brighter and brighter. She was dissolving into light. The golden glow lifted from her body like mist rising from water. It swirled gently in the air above her. Jin continued to hum, his own eyes now wide with wonder. The cloud of golden light hovered for a moment. It seemed to pulse in time with the sound. Then it began to rise. It streamed upward towards the crystal ceiling. It passed through the crystal as if it were not there, reaching for the stars. The Zephyrians all looked up. Their faces were filled with awe and joy. There were no tears of sadness. There were tears of beauty. The light vanished into the dark sky above. The sound from the resonance chamber faded as Sue turned it off. Jin stopped humming. The room was completely silent. On the stone slab, where Elder Lyra had been, there was nothing. Her body was gone. She had returned to the universe. The silence lasted for a long time. Then Elder Kale turned to the humans. His shiny eyes were brighter than they had ever been. There was no more doubt in them, only a deep, profound gratitude. He looked at Jin, the quiet man with the simple hum. "You did not sing the song for her," Kale said, his voice full of emotion. "You opened the door, and she walked through." For the first time in generations, the Zephyrians had not been silent. They had said a proper goodbye. The silence in the great crystal dome was not empty anymore. It was full. It was a peaceful silence, a satisfied silence. The Zephyrians stood with their heads raised, looking at the stars where Elder Lyra's light had disappeared. There was no crying. There was only a soft hum of contentment from the people. It was the sound of a great weight being lifted. Jin stood by the resonance chamber. His legs felt weak. He could still feel the vibration of his own hum in his throat. He looked at the empty stone slab. He had just helped a living being leave this world. It was the most incredible and frightening thing he had ever done. Elder Kale walked towards him. The old alien did not bow. Instead, he reached out and placed a long, crystalline hand on Jin's shoulder. The touch was cool and smooth. "You have given us back our future," Kyle said. His voice was thick with an emotion the humans had not heard before. Pure joy. Captain Chul let out a breath he did not know he was holding. He looked at Hana and Sue. Hana had tears in her eyes. Sue was staring at his metal box with a look of deep pride. His machine had worked. It had really worked. The news spread through the city like a gentle wave. The song had returned. It was not the same as the old stories, but it was real. The silent sorrow that had covered Zephyr 7 for so long began to crack and fall away. The humans were no longer just visitors. They were heroes. They were invited to stay, to celebrate, to teach. That evening there was a gathering in the city's great plaza. The Zephyrians brought food and drink. They made soft, chiming music with crystals. They did not dance, but they swayed together in a beautiful, slow rhythm. The air itself seemed to buzz with happiness. Jin, however, felt strange. Everyone wanted to look at him. Everyone wanted to be near the human who hummed. He was not comfortable with the attention. He sat at the edge of the celebration, watching. Sue and Hana were in the middle of it all, talking excitedly with a group of Zephyrian engineers and singers. They were already planning how to build more resonance chambers, how to teach others the simple hum. Captain Chul sat next to Jin. "You are quiet," he said. "It is a lot," Jin said simply. "I just fixed a machine. I did not mean to do all this. Sometimes the most important things happen by accident," Chul said. "The why does not matter as much as the what. You helped them. That is what matters." The next morning, the real work began. The Zephyrians were eager to learn. Hana and Sue set up a workshop. They showed the Zephyrians how the chamber worked. The first lesson was a surprise. The Zephyrians could not do it, they tried. A young Zephyrian, a skilled singer named Nail, stood before the chamber. Sue turned on the bass tone. Nail opened his mouth and produced a beautiful, clear note. It was perfect. It was pure. But when his note mixed with the machine's tone, nothing happened. The sound did not change. The special resonance did not appear. They tried another and another. Each Zephyrian had a voice like ringing crystal. Each one sang a perfect note, and each time it failed, Hana was confused. She checked the machine. It was working perfectly. "Let me try," Jin said. He stepped up to the chamber. Sue turned on the tone. Jin hummed his simple, wavering hum. Immediately, the air in the room filled with the warm, peaceful resonance of the hymn. The Zephyrians looked at each other in confusion. "What is the difference?" Elder Kale asked. "Your voice is not as pure as ours, it is rougher." Hana's eyes lit up with understanding. "That's it," she said. "That's the difference. Your voices are too perfect." Everyone looked at her. "The hymn isn't about perfection," she explained. "It's about harmony between two different things. The machine makes one sound. Jin's hum is different. It has small imperfections, it wavers. When two imperfect sounds meet, they create a new third sound, the harmonic we need. Your voices are so pure they just copy the machine's sound. They don't create anything new." It was a revolutionary idea. The Zephyrians had spent generations trying to be more perfect, to recapture their lost perfection. But the solution required imperfection. "So we cannot sing our own death hymn?" Nail asked, his voice sad. "No," Hana said gently, "but you don't need to. You can build the machines, and you can find others to hum. You do not need just humans. Maybe other species can do it. The key is to find a voice that is different, a voice that is not perfect." This changed everything. The Zephyrians were not broken. Their culture was not dying. It was evolving. It was changing into something new. While Hana and Sue worked on teaching, Jin spent his time with Elder Kale. They walked through the quiet crystal forests. Kale showed Jin the plants and the fungi Jin had been studying. They talked about life. "We thought the sundering was a song to be mastered," Kale said, touching the bark of a glowing tree. "We were wrong. It is a relationship, a connection between the physical world and the energy of the universe. The machine is part of the physical world. Your hum is the life in between. Together they build a bridge." Jin liked that idea. It made his accidental hum feel less like a mistake and more like a part of nature. Weeks passed. The humans helped the Zephyrians build many resonance chambers. They were placed in special rooms all over the planet. The Zephyrians also started building a new starship. Their first goal was to find other species, to find other voices that could help them hum. The day came for the humans to leave. Their mission was over. It was a success beyond anything they had imagined. At the landing platform, the entire city seemed to have gathered to say goodbye. Elder Kale stood before Captain Chul. "You came to us in our silence," Kale said. "You leave us with a new song. We will never forget." Captain Chul shook his head. "We only helped you find what was already there. You taught us that an end can be beautiful." Kale then turned to Jin. "You, who did not mean to be a guide, have guided us all. Your simple sound will echo in our world forever." Jin felt a warmth in his chest. He bowed his head. "It was an honor," he said softly. The crew boarded their shuttle. As the door closed, they saw the Zephyrians raise their hands in a silent, graceful farewell. The shuttle lifted off. From the window, they watched the crystal city get smaller. It no longer looked like a place of sadness. It glowed with a new, hopeful light. On the bridge of the Endeavor, the crew was quiet. They were looking at the star charts, planning their course back to Earth. Jin went down to the botany lab. His plants and fungi were growing well. The blue fungus was thriving. The nutrient dispenser was fixed and silent. He stood there for a long time, thinking about the strange journey. He thought about a broken machine, a thoughtless hum, and a culture given back its future. He was just a biologist. He was not a hero. He was not a singer. But he had hummed a tune, and a whole world had learned to sing along. The journey back to Earth was quiet. The stars outside the ship's windows were steady and calm. Inside, the crew of the Endeavor felt different. They were the same people, but they had seen something that would stay with them forever. Captain Chul wrote his report. He tried to find the right words. How do you explain that the most important moment of your mission was a man humming at a broken machine? He decided to keep it simple. He wrote about the problem. He wrote about the accident. He wrote about the solution. He did not try to make it sound grand. The truth was grand enough. Hana spent her time listening to the recording. The sound of Jin's hum in the resonance chamber. She analyzed it, but now it was not for science. She just liked to listen. The sound made her feel peaceful. It reminded her that the universe was full of strange and wonderful connections. Sue was already drawing new designs. Better, more portable resonance chambers. He thought about how to make them stronger, simpler. He knew the Zephyrians would need many of them. He wanted to help. Jin went back to his plants. The blue fungus from Zephyr 7 was growing well. It sometimes glowed with a soft blue light in the dark of the lab. He did not hum anymore, not even to himself. The memory of that one hum felt too big. It was a hum that had guided a soul. He did not think he should use it for something as small as a broken machine again. Weeks turned into months. The Endeavor finally reached the edge of human space. They were home. Their return was not a big event. There were no cheering crowds. They landed at a quiet orbital station. Officials came on board to read Chul's report. Scientists came to talk to Hana and Jin. Engineers came to see Sue's designs. Most people did not understand. They heard the story. A death hymn, a hum. It sounded like a fairy tale. Some people thought it was a joke. Others thought the crew was exaggerating. The team was split up. They were given new jobs, new missions. Life moved on. Jin was sent to a research station on Mars. He studied the red soil and the tough plants that grew there. It was quiet work. He liked it. Sometimes he would look up at the pink sky and think of the purple twilight of Zephyr 7. Sue was assigned to a new deep space ship. He was the chief engineer. He was proud of his work. But sometimes when a machine broke and made an annoying sound, he would smile a little. He remembered that not all broken things are useless. Hana became a teacher. She taught young students about first contact and alien cultures. She told them the story of the Zephyrians. The students loved the story. They understood the magic of it better than the adults. Captain Chul got a job on Earth. He worked in an office planning future missions. It was important work, but it was not the same. He missed the quiet of the bridge. He missed the feeling of a crew working together. Years passed. One day, Jin was in his lab on Mars. He was looking through a microscope. A message came to his personal communicator. It was from Captain Chul. The message was simple. They are here. Come to Earth. Jin did not need to ask who they were. He knew. He got permission to leave and took the next shuttle to Earth. When he landed, a car was waiting for him. It took him to the main spaceport. The place was busy, but Chul was waiting for him at a private gate. The captain looked older. There was more gray in his hair, but his eyes had the same tired, kind look. Jin, Chul said, and he smiled. It was a real smile. It is good to see you. You too, Captain, Jin said. Are they really here? They are in orbit, Chul said. They asked for us, specifically. Hana and Sue arrived soon after. Hana looked the same, but more confident. Sue looked proud and strong. They hugged each other. It was like no time had passed at all. They were given a special shuttle. They flew up to the big space station that orbited Earth. An official led them to a meeting room. The door opened. Elder Kale was there. He looked exactly the same. His crystalline body shimmered under the bright lights of the station. But his face was different. The deep sorrow was gone. In its place was a calm peace. Next to him stood Nael, the young singer they had met years ago. Nael was holding a small, beautifully crafted metal box. It was a resonance chamber, but it was made of a shining silver material. It looked like a work of art, my friends, Kyle said, his voice like smooth stones. You look well. They talked for a long time. Kale told them what had happened on Zephyr 7. The Zephyrians had built many chambers. They had sent out ships just as they planned. They had found other species. Some could hum the note. Some could not. They had made new friends across the stars. The sundering was no longer a time of fear. It was a time of beauty and peace. Their culture was thriving. We are not here just to visit, Kyle said. We are here to give a gift. Nael stepped forward. He held out the beautiful silver chamber. This is for you, Kale said, for all of humanity. Captain Chol took the box. It was cool and heavy in his hands. "We are honored," he said, "but our people do not use the sundering." "Our death is different," Cal nodded. "We know this is not for your death. It is for your life," he explained. The Zephyrians had learned that the sound was not just for one purpose. The resonance was a sound of connection, a sound of peace. They used it now in their music. They used it to calm their minds. They used it to help things grow. The blue fungus Jin had collected, for example, grew much better when near the sound. "The sound reminds us that we are all connected," Kale said. "The machine, the voice, the life, the universe. It is all one. We thought we had lost the song of death. You helped us find the song of life." The humans were silent. They understood. The hum was not about ending. It was about belonging. "We have one more request," Nail said shyly. He looked at Jin. Would you hum for us? One more time here? We have not heard it from you in so long." Jin looked at the others. Hana nodded. Sue smiled. Chol gave him an encouraging look. Jin stepped forward. Nail activated the silver chamber. A clean, pure tone filled the room. Jin was older now. He was a different man, but he closed his eyes and found the same quiet place inside. He thought of the broken machine. He thought of Elder Lyra's peaceful face. He thought of the stars. He began to hum. The familiar warmth filled the room. The resonant sound of peace, of connection, of the universe itself. It was gentle and strong. On the space station, people stopped what they were doing. In the corridors, in the control rooms, they felt it. A sudden deep calm, a feeling that everything was right. No one was afraid. They just felt a quiet wonder. Jin finished. The sound faded away. Elder Kale bowed his head. "Thank you," he said. "The song is complete." The Zephyrians did not stay long. They had other worlds to visit, other friends to see. They said their goodbyes. It was not a sad goodbye. It was a see you again goodbye. The four friends watched the Zephyrian ship leave. It was small and graceful, shaped like a crystal. It moved silently into the dark and then jumped into faster-than-light travel, disappearing in a flash of light. Captain Chul still held the silver resonance chamber. "What do we do with this?" he asked. They decided to give it to the people who studied music and sound. They gave it to the people who studied peace. They did not keep it for themselves. The story of the Zephyrians became more than a fairy tale. It became a part of human history, a lesson, a hope. Jin went back to Mars. But now sometimes when he was alone in his lab with his plants, he would hum. He would hum the simple, wavering tune. The blue fungus would glow a little brighter, and he would feel connected to a wide, wonderful universe. He was not a hero. He was a biologist. But he had learned that even the smallest, most accidental sound can change everything. It was a good thing to remember. Jin went back to his plants. The blue fungus from Zephyr 7 was growing well. It sometimes glowed with a soft blue light in the dark of the lab. He did not hum anymore, not even to himself. The memory of that one hum felt too big. It was a hum that had guided a soul. He did not think he should use it for something as small as a broken machine again. Weeks turned into months. The Endeavor finally reached the edge of human space. They were home. Their return was not a big event. There were no cheering crowds. They landed at a quiet orbital station. Officials came on board to read Chol's report. Scientists came to talk to Hana and Jin. Engineers came to see Sue's designs. Most people did not understand. They heard the story. A death hymn, a hum. It sounded like a fairy tale. Some people thought it was a joke. Others thought the crew was exaggerating. The team was split up. They were given new jobs, new missions. Life moved on. Jin was sent to a research station on Mars. He studied the red soil and the tough plants that grew there. It was quiet work. He liked it. Sometimes he would look up at the pink sky and think of the purple twilight of Zephyr 7. Sue was assigned to a new deep space ship. He was the chief engineer. He was proud of his work, but sometimes when a machine broke and made an annoying sound, he would smile a little. He remembered that not all broken things are useless. Hana became a teacher. She taught young students about first contact in alien cultures. She told them the story of the Zephyrians. The students loved the story. They understood the magic of it better than the adults. Captain Chul got a job on Earth. He worked in an office planning future missions. It was important work, but it was not the same. He missed the quiet of the bridge. He missed the feeling of a crew working together. Years passed. One day, Jin was in his lab on Mars. He was looking through a microscope. A message came to his personal communicator. It was from Captain Chul. The message was simple. They are here. Come to Earth. Jin did not need to ask who they were. He knew. He got permission to leave and took the next shuttle to Earth. When he landed, a car was waiting for him. It took him to the main spaceport. The place was busy, but Chul was waiting for him at a private gate. The captain looked older. There was more gray in his hair, but his eyes had the same tired, kind look. Jin, Chul said, and he smiled. It was a real smile. It is good to see you. You too, Captain, Jin said. Are they really here? They are in orbit, Chul said. They asked for us, specifically. Hana and Sue arrived soon after. Hana looked the same, but more confident. Sue looked proud and strong. They hugged each other. It was like no time had passed at all. They were given a special shuttle. They flew up to the big space station that orbited Earth. An official led them to a meeting room. The door opened. Elder Kyle was there. He looked exactly the same. His crystalline body shimmered under the bright lights of the station. But his face was different. The deep sorrow was gone. In its place was a calm peace. Next to him stood Nail, the young singer they had met years ago. Nail was holding a small, beautifully crafted metal box. It was a resonance chamber, but it was made of a shining silver material. It looked like a work of art, my friends, Kyle said, his voice like smooth stones. You look well. They talked for a long time. Kale told them what had happened on Zephyr 7. The Zephyrians had built many chambers. They had sent out ships just as they planned. They had found other species. Some could hum the note, some could not. They had made new friends across the stars. The sundering was no longer a time of fear. It was a time of beauty and peace. Their culture was thriving. We are not here just to visit, Kale said. We are here to give a gift. Nail stepped forward. He held out the beautiful silver chamber. This is for you, Kale said. For all of humanity. Captain Chul took the box. It was cool and heavy in his hands. We are honored, he said, but our people do not use the sundering. Our death is different, Kale nodded. We know this is not for your death. It is for your life, he explained. The Zephyrians had learned that the sound was not just for one purpose. The resonance was a sound of connection, a sound of peace. They used it now in their music. They used it to calm their minds. They used it to help things grow. The blue fungus Jin had collected, for example, grew much better when near the sound. The sound reminds us that we are all connected, Kale said. The machine, the voice, the life, the universe, it is all one. We thought we had lost the song of death. You helped us find the song of life. The humans were silent. They understood. The hum was not about ending. It was about belonging. We have one more request, Nail said shyly. He looked at Jin. Would you hum for us? One more time, here? We have not heard it from you in so long. Jin looked at the others. Hana nodded. Sue smiled. Chul gave him an encouraging look. Jin stepped forward. Nail activated the silver chamber. A clean, pure tone filled the room. Jin was older now. He was a different man, but he closed his eyes and found the same quiet place inside. He thought of the broken machine. He thought of Elder Lyra's peaceful face. He thought of the stars. He began to hum. The familiar warmth filled the room. The resonant sound of peace, of connection, of the universe itself. It was gentle and strong. On the space station, people stopped what they were doing. In the corridors, in the control rooms, they felt it. A sudden deep calm. A feeling that everything was right. No one was afraid. They just felt a quiet wonder. Jin finished. The sound faded away. Elder Kale bowed his head. Thank you, he said. The song is complete. The Zephyrians did not stay long. They had other worlds to visit. Other friends to see. They said their goodbyes. It was not a sad goodbye. It was a see you again goodbye. The four friends watched the Zephyrian ship leave. It was small and graceful, shaped like a crystal. It moved silently into the dark and then jumped into faster-than-light travel, disappearing in a flash of light. Captain Chul still held the silver resonance chamber. What do we do with this? He asked. They decided to give it to the people who studied music and sound. They gave it to the people who studied peace. They did not keep it for themselves. The story of the Zephyrians became more than a fairy tale. It became a part of human history, a lesson. A hope. Jin went back to Mars. But now sometimes when he was alone in his lab with his plants, he would hum. He would hum the simple, wavering tune. The blue fungus would glow a little brighter. And he would feel connected to a wide, wonderful universe. He was not a hero. He was a biologist. But he had learned that even the smallest, most accidental sound can change everything. It was a good thing to remember.